Hey everyone, Pittikatti here. Last time I set up some enemies and a very basic weapon system. This time I'm going to be focusing more on the weapons and the game feel. There were no indication that the player got hit, so I added a
bloody scream! So real!
And after that I started to fiddle with the post-processing to get the game look more like a game. After a while I had something I was happy with. Next I had a bit of a problem. The enemy knights were shooting through walls and they would get stuck behind them. To fix this I used a simple raycast to check if the player is visible to the enemy. Now it seems to be functioning and the enemies are no longer stuck behind a wall. After this it was time for a new weapon. So I started to model a submachine gun. I wanted it to be a fast-firing weapon with some recoil, so I went with an SMG design. The SMG is going to be an upgraded version of the pistol once I finally balance the game. I added the weapon to Godot and had a problem where the hands were rendering on top of the gun and it had too much sway. First I thought it was just broken, but then I realized I was rendering the gun on a wrong layer. Okay, but now I have two weapons, so the IK needs to update when switching weapons. The old system doesn't work with it. First I tried to set up the IK targets in runtime, but I just couldn't figure out how it works, or is it even possible? The solution to this problem was not to change the targets, but to move the targets to correct positions. After figuring this out, the IK system worked again. So, now I could make the weapon switching. Weapon switching was pretty straightforward. Basically, what I do is I set the current weapon to visible and then the unequipped weapon to invisible, and change the active weapon variable, and now the player can switch weapons. I also added a player owns weapon pool that checks if the player owns the weapon. Weapon pickups first check if the player has the weapon, and if the player doesn't have the weapon, the pickup adds the weapon to the player's inventory. And if the player has the weapon, pickups only add ammo. Shooting felt a bit boring, so I started to work on it, and first thing I did was I added some bullet holes. I wanted to add camera shake too, but I couldn't get it to work. So first I tried to add camera shake when the player gets hit, inspired by dusk, and it just didn't work. But then I realized that I don't even need to code it. I can just use the animator to animate the shake. And after this realization, I just animated the shake and it worked! This opened up so many possibilities. I added some recoil to the weapons and finally the camera shake. Now I wanted to add particles to the bullet hit points, so I just copied the bullet hole code and made it spawn particles. Now it was time to add some sounds, and I'm no sound engineer, so I added some placeholders for now. Weapons still lacked muzzle flashes, so I had my artist to sketch some for me. I tried to make the muzzle flashes in Blender at first, but I couldn't get the materials to export correctly. So in the end I ended up making it in Godot using mesh instances. Basically it just plays an animation when the weapon fires. It still needs some work, but it's good enough for now. Next time I'll try to show a new flower enemy and upgrades to the forest map. So if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.